Planning is such an important part of our life, but especially our financial life, especially if you're a student. Craig joins us from BDO this morning. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
The number one thing that people say to you when they come out of school and they get into financial trouble is, I should have learned this younger. How much does that scare you?
It's something that concerns us. We often run into people with financial help and they're looking for some guidance, and that's one of the things they say. Why didn't we learn this, or how come nobody taught us this sooner? So we're trying to get back to education and starting younger so that we don't run into these problems in the future.
The biggest thing being the difference between wants and needs, you say?
Yeah, you know, as kids and as adults, we want things. And, you know, we want a lot of different things. And I think it's important to stress to kids that there's a difference between the things that we actually need to live and the things we want. And it's tough as a parent to say no sometimes. But I often use, well, instead of no, let's try, yes, you can have this, but you have to save up for it. Here's how much it costs. This is how long it's going to take you to save up for it with your allowance.
How important is that lesson at an early age?
I think it's very important. If we don't start young and practice that routine, how are we going to know when it's, you know, time to get into university and move on? We're going to just be starting then. But if we've got that foundation, we've learned how to save our money, we've got a steady allowance that allows us to practice these skills and mess up and make mistakes early, then carrying on in the future will be much more
You're
useful.
not met with the shock.
You're not shocked.
Right when you get out of school.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely important information. If somebody does get into trouble, though, by the time they reach you, they've generally gotten themselves into some financial trouble. What's the first piece of advice you give those people? You
know, it's more about stepping back and getting back to not spending more than you earn. And really setting back, starting fresh, get a budget, asking for help and talking about it. As Canadians, we don't often talk about financial problems. It's one of those difficult things. So finding somebody that can give you some assistance is very important.
Students, when they walk out of high school, they're going to go into university, and a lot of students in this area are going to head into the University of Regina or other institutions. The first piece of advice you maybe would give them?
Oh, it's to ask lots of questions. You know, how do I budget? What do I do with my money? You know, what's my first paycheck going to look like? They expect a whole bunch of money coming in and they're really excited, but a lot of that's going to go to pay taxes. So it's important that they don't spend that money before they actually earn it.
And what's the next step?
Next step is saving money and doing some shopping around. Like, learn how to shop for good value. And I guess if you start young enough and you've got that skill that we're comparison shopping and we've done our research and this is the best price that we can get, it's about being responsible with your money. We all have that fear of missing out, and we don't want to, you know, things are going to happen, especially in university, where we don't want to miss out. So it's important to save up a little bit of money for those occasions.
And some contingencies, I would imagine, as well. The car breaks down, or you need an extra book for that class.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of an emergency fund. It's tough when you're just getting into university. You don't have the amount of income. All your money's going to books and just life in general. So if you could start young and get that little fund built up, great. But just as everyday people, we want to have about 3 months worth of income saved up so that if something does come up, like you mentioned, we're prepared.
That is absolutely phenomenal advice. If somebody wants more information or they need help, how do they get a hold of you guys?
They could get a hold of us at reginadebthelp.com or .ca. BDO Debt Help as well has lots of information, and they're welcome to call us anytime and ask for any advice that we can help with.
Craig, thanks for being here this morning.
My pleasure.
Stay with us.